This Chinese caretaker drugs her Korean employer every day at 2 p.m. Once she's out cold, she swaps their identical phones, climbs out the window, avoids all cameras, and heads to a hidden cliffside where she secretly trains in rock climbing. After weeks of practice, she finally climbs to the top in just 20 minutes. That day, she trails her husband, who's hiking up the cliff from the other side. She hides in a crack at the top, waiting. He reaches the summit and sits down to rest, completely unaware of the danger. Suddenly, a shadow flashes. She strikes. In panic, he scratches her hand, but that's all he manages before falling lifeless. She calmly uses her employer's phone to call into work, crafting the perfect alibi. At 6 p.m., her husband's corpse is discovered, his eyes already claimed by flies. Detective Hae-jun takes the case, thinking it's routine. He doesn't realize this murder will pull him into a web of desire, lies, and obsession, one that changes his life forever. He investigates and finds expensive belongings on the victim, all engraved with his initials, clear signs of control and possessiveness. His phone wallpaper, a photo with a young woman, Sora. At first glance, Hae-jun thinks she's his daughter. Until they meet, he learns she's actually his wife. The huge age gap and Sora's total lack of sorrow instantly raise red flags. But while he's watching her, Sora's already studying him and planning her next move. First, she shows off the scratch on her hand, knowing he'll take a photo and label her a suspect. And he does. Digging into her past, Hae-jun learns she's a Chinese immigrant who illegally married an old Korean man to stay in the country. Since their marriage, she's visited the hospital every month. Under her clothes are scars, and her private parts are tattooed with his name, clear signs of abuse. Now it all makes sense. The emotionless reaction, the brutal death, it fits. And just like that, Hae-jun begins to sympathize. At the agency, he checks her work records. She never left the house that day, and even used her boss's phone to check in. Her alibi is airtight, but something feels off. Hae-jun starts secretly tailing her. He sees her caring for the elderly, smiling gently, feeding stray cats. That kindness draws him in. His suspicion starts to fade, replaced by curiosity. Then, forensics finds someone else's skin under the victim's nails. Sora calmly admits it's hers. She claims he beat her for refusing to hike. She even shows the bruises on her leg. Hae-jun, flustered, tries to take a photo, then hesitates. She smiles, tells him it's okay. Just like that, the wall between them cracks. When he asks why she hates hiking, she types into a translation app, "I like the sea more than mountains." He reads it, smiles, murmurs back, "Me too." Another step closer. Now their interrogation feels like a date. He even buys her premium sashimi for lunch, leaving his colleagues speechless. After the meal, they clean up together like a couple. He offers her a new waterproof bandage, toothbrush, and towel. At this point, Sora knows he's no longer investigating her, but his partner still senses something's off. That night, Hae-jun hides in the shadows, watching her from afar. She looks peaceful, caring for her boss, feeding cats, eating ice cream. Slowly, his insomnia fades. He falls asleep. In the morning, she finds him in the car. Instead of calling him out, she takes a few photos and greets him with a gentle, "Good morning." That simple act brightens his entire day. He even starts greeting coworkers cheerfully. They're stunned. Hae-jun, the famously cold detective, suddenly acts happy. Days pass. He finds no flaws, but what he doesn't know is she's seen him tailing her all along. Every move she makes is for him to see. He's about to close the case as a suicide until his partner uncovers something explosive. Sora didn't just flee China. She's wanted for killing her own mother. This shocking revelation throws Hae-jun into panic. Torn between duty and emotion, he sends Sora the file, desperate for answers. But she knows him too well. She simply replies, "Come find me." Without hesitation, Hae-jun rushes to her home, forgetting he's a cop, and she's still a murder suspect. Yet the moment he steps inside, he tries to regain composure and confronts her about the alleged matricide. Sora calmly pours him tea and begins her story. Her mother, terminally ill and in agony, had begged Seore to end her suffering. She even made one final wish: to have her ashes scattered at Hohyeon Mountain in her Korean hometown. Heartbroken and unable to watch her mother die without dignity, Sora gave her 4 poison pills and saved 4 for herself, now hidden in the lid of her mother's urn. That's why she illegally entered Korea. She had planned to die after fulfilling her mother's final wish, but couldn't bring herself to do it. Moved by her painful confession, Hae-jun softens. Then Sora goes further, showing him letters claiming her husband committed suicide. Once a high-ranking immigration officer, her husband had been taking bribes for years. After being reported, the pressure drove him to end his life. Hae-jun then asks, "Why marry a corrupt man like that?" Sora doesn't hold back. She recounts her journey in a fish container during the smuggling. 10 days in filth, soaked in waste, mentally and physically broken. "He saw me at my worst. He knew my story. He smelled my truth. The voice through her translator app stirs Hae-jun deeply. Then Sora sets her next trap. You watch me all night. Does your wife know? One line, and all hidden emotions explode into the open. Hae-jun can no longer deny his feelings. The next day, the dead man's boss hands over a suicide note found in the office. The handwriting and details match. The case is officially closed. But at the celebration, Hae-jun's partner drinks heavily and lashes out, still convinced it wasn't suicide. The night ends on a sour note. Alone, Hae-jun begins to question whether his feelings clouded his judgment. At that moment, Sora calls. Hae-jun rushes over. His partner had shown up at her house, drunk and furious, trashing everything inside. Guilty and protective, Hae-jun cleans her home through the night. He even returns her late husband's belongings, ending their official ties. From this point on, they're no longer cop and suspect. But Sora isn't done. With a sly smile, she stirs his heart once again. At 2 a.m., Hae-jun takes her to his rental apartment. Under warm lights, he cooks Chinese fried rice just for her. He shares details of a new case, completely ignoring police confidentiality. When she glances at her late husband's photo on the wall, she merely smiles. It's all in the past. Then comes the twist. Hae-jun mentions a difficult case, and Sora casually browses the files, immediately pointing out that the suspect must be hiding at his girlfriend's home. Her sharp analysis proves right. The next day, Hae-jun and his partner raid the girlfriend's house, and there he is. They chase him up to the rooftop. Cornered, the suspect pulls out scissors and holds them to his neck. Turns out, a month ago, he found out his girlfriend cheated with his best friend. In a fit of rage, he stabbed the friend to death. Now consumed by guilt and betrayal, he leaps to his death. Watching a man die before his eyes, Hae-jun is shattered. He blames himself. Insomnia worsens. But Sora sees the perfect opportunity. She visits that night with concern in her eyes. Then she burns all the documents and photos, claiming to relieve his burden. In truth, she's erasing evidence, including pictures Hae-jun secretly took of her. When he tries to stop her, she disarms him with charm. Hae-jun's face flushes red, like a nervous teen. In the end, he lets her burn everything, except a few photos of her. And just like that, she wins again. At this point, they naturally fall for each other. But instead of rushing things, Sora uses her nursing skills to help Hae-jun sleep, quietly slipping into his mental world. Hae-jun believes he's finally found a soulmate. They start dating in remote, hidden places, sharing a single lipstick, drawn closer with every glance and smile. Every time he holds her calloused hands, he gently applies hand cream, assuming the scars come from hardship in China. What he doesn't know, they're from rock climbing, from murder preparation. Wanting to be part of her life, Hae-jun starts helping her care for the elderly. One day, the old woman says something odd. Hae-jun's hands are softer than Sora's. When she first arrived, her hands were smooth too. That sets off alarm bells. Then, she hands him a sluggish phone for a quick fix. To his shock, it's identical to Sora's. Even worse, it has a hiking app showing 138 stairs. On the same date Sora's husband died, and with the old lady's bad leg, it couldn't have been her. Hae-jun climbs the back route of the mountain himself. Battered and bleeding, he reaches the top, exactly 138 stairs. It's now clear, Sora is the killer, but even with the truth laid bare, he can't turn her in. He brings the phone home. When confronted, Sora doesn't deny it. She killed her husband to escape years of abuse. If she went to the police, she'd be deported. Her husband knew that and beat her without fear. She forged his suicide note and wrote the reports herself, every word true. Now Hae-jun knows everything, but still, he chooses to protect her. He talks about dumping the evidence into the sea. What he doesn't know, Sora secretly records him. The woman he once saw as a kindred spirit now pulls him deeper into darkness. But as he leaves, Sora sheds tears, real ones. She finally realizes she truly loves Hae-jun, but it's already too late. A year passes. Tormented by guilt, Hae-jun suffers from severe insomnia. He transfers to his wife's quiet hometown, trying to escape the past. But fate strikes again. At a market, he runs into Sora, now married to a wealthy TV host. His wife finds him charming, even exchanges contacts with him. But Hae-jun only has eyes for Sora. After a year of lifeless routine, her presence revives him. They part without a word. That night, Sora's husband calls Hae-jun's wife, but she's in the shower and misses it. The next day, a gruesome murder rocks the town. The victim, Sora's husband, 14 stab wounds, and the body is found in Hae-jun's jurisdiction. He's convinced Sora did it, but she denies everything. He swears to bring her to justice. Forensics later confirms the killer is left-handed. Sora is not. Despite the evidence, Hae-jun can't let go of his bias. He interrogates her again. She claims her husband scammed investors. Maybe someone sought revenge. He asks why she married a man like that. Her answer, to forget another man. To Hae-jun, it sounds like manipulation, but he has no proof. Desperate, he questions people with her photo. Then he finds a clue. In a young couple's photo, Sora appears wearing a blue dress on the beach. her right hand mid-motion, as if tossing something far into the ocean. Late at night, driven by suspicion, Hae-jun rushes to Sora's home. As soon as the door opens, she throws herself into his arms. Hae-jun resists the temptation and starts searching the house. Soon, he finds the charred remains of a blue dress in the furnace. Cornered, Sora finally confesses. She came home from a walk and found her husband already dead in the pool. Enraged, Hae-jun takes her to the station and orders a lie detector test. But Sora stays calm and composed throughout. Just as Hae-jun clings to his doubts, his assistant finds surveillance footage of a suspicious car near the crime scene. The car belongs to the victim's creditor, who turns out to be left-handed. The man is brought in and immediately confesses. His mother was terminally ill, and the victim had scammed all their money. In revenge, he stabbed the man 14 times. The case seems closed. The assistant is thrilled, but Hae-jun can't shake the feeling that Sora is still involved. Back home, Hae-jun hears shocking news. The night Sora's husband died, he made 2 calls to Hae-jun's wife. Suddenly, it all clicks. The missing phone, the suspicious beach scene. Sora was throwing the phone into the sea. Hae-jun orders a dive team to retrieve it. Meanwhile, he confronts Sora, demanding to know what secrets the phone held. But instead of answering, she invites him to Claw Mountain. There, she asks him to scatter her mother's ashes and uses the moment to stir his buried feelings. "You still can't sleep, can you?" she says. "That day at the market, didn't you feel alive again?" Though moved, Hae-jun hardens his heart and speaks coldly. When he opens the urn, the 4 poison pills are gone. Panicked, he asks where they are. Sora doesn't answer. As he spreads the ashes, he hears footsteps, but just her embrace. She hands him the phone once owned by the old lady, asking him to bring her to justice and reclaim his integrity as a cop. For the first time, Hae-jun fully sees the love in her eyes. He finally lets his guard down. That night, he returns home, only to find his wife packing up and leaving with another man. No explanation, just silence. Hae-jun now realizes the marriage had died long ago, and he misses Sora more than ever. Days later, the phone is recovered from the sea. The deleted messages reveal the truth. The victim had discovered Sora's affair with Hae-jun and even found evidence of it, and blackmailed Sora to resolve his debt crisis, or he'd ruin her life. The evidence is gone, but the thread is clear. Digging further, Hae-jun finds Sora had visited the creditor's mother shortly before she died. He interrogates the man again. The man recalls Sora visiting the hospital, making his mother smile. Trusting her as a fellow Chinese, he left briefly to eat, only to return and find his mother in an eternal sleep. Hae-jun immediately thinks of the missing 4 poison pills. Did Sora help the old woman die peacefully? He calls her, demanding answers, but she responds in Chinese, confessing her love instead. Then, she walks to the beach with a metal bucket and starts digging, planning to bury herself alive. Sora knows she'll always be a suspect, and Hae-jun will always be a cop. They're doomed from the start. She wants to end his pain, stop him from choosing between justice and emotion. This is her redemption. But she also has one final quiet plan. She knows Hae-jun is obsessed with unresolved cases. By turning herself into an unsolved mystery, she ensures he'll never stop thinking of her. In his mind, she'll live forever. Meanwhile, Hae-jun follows the tracker to the beach. He opens Sora's phone, only to find a heartbreaking video. It's the moment he once swapped phones to cover up for her. Sora had saved this video not to blackmail him, but because she fell in love with him. Whenever she felt alone and helpless, she would play it, again and again, just to hear his voice, to relive the warmth of his love. But her husband eventually discovered it. That video became a weapon, something he used to threaten them both. To protect Hae-jun, Sora once again chose the wrong path. By then, Sora has already finished digging. She lies peacefully inside the hole, letting the shifting sands gently cover her hands, to be buried by the sea, the place they both loved. This becomes her final release. When Hae-jun arrives, he frantically searches the shoreline, but it's too late. The tide has already washed away every trace. Even his desperate cries are drowned out by the crashing waves. The story ends here.